Hey, everybody. This week we got a listener on the line, somebody who's gotten into B2B sales, their first serious B2B sales job. We're going to go through how that's been, what he's learned, why he listens to the podcast, and I hope you do. Apparently you are. And we're going to talk about things like the demo, how to keep a deal moving, how to qualify people, how to overcome those hard days, those doubts, those concerns that your manager has, the pressures of being new in sales. We all face it. You may not have faced your first sales job in a while, but every time we change companies, we change territories, comp plans, divisions, there's this constant sense that we have to reestablish who we are and how good we are at it, that level of confidence and conviction in our own skills, our own abilities, and that we have to show up every day and perform. It is a performance profession. Let's get into the interview. If you're in the courses, make sure you're checking out office hours. I record all of them and put them up there. They're an hour-long case study-based Q&A session every other Friday. And also the one-on-ones. They're pure gold. You got to be listening to them. And if you want to schedule one, it's in the first chapter. Just make sure you take the course first, and we do it on Zoom so we can share screens and record it and put it in the course. That's it. Also, are you checking out Co-Video? Co-Video's crushing it this year. Video email is one of those ways to stay engaged. You may not want to do it on your first video. You might. Maybe there's something visual that will help break the ice. But certainly after that, when you want to convey something, your enthusiasm, who you are, go away from just the text. Because today, I called peak email 2 years ago. And the problem is people continue to do it. It's just done poorly. It's not that it's not a powerful tool. It's an insanely powerful tool if done right. And video email is that next layer above it. Because video changed my business this year. I started doing my walk-around comedy thing and tips. And, actually, I've been doing it 2 years, but this year I kind of lightened it up and put some skits together, put some subtitles on it, and it really took off probably around June. And every time I get on a call with somebody, they go, "Oh, I feel like I know you because I've seen you." And I don't know them, but they know me. And that is one of the elements in sales that is missing. Because if I ask anybody, who would you take a meeting with? Well, somebody I know. Boom. We have to become known. And video email is one of those ways. So check it out at covideo.com. Here we go. And I'll tell you everybody about the course update at the end. Hey, Jacob, welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, tell us about yourself.
Thanks for having me, Brian. So my name is Jacob Tarian. I work for a company called Bridge Loan Network. We're specifically a loan origination software for private money lenders. So it's basically like a banking software. I've been with the company a little over a year and a half now. I came here straight from college, so I'm a little bit of a different guest for you in that sense. I've been with the company, like I said, a little bit over a year and a half now. So I've kind of hit my stride in the selling process. I've used a lot of the things that I've learned from you and your guests on your show, implemented those into my daily process. And like I said, really starting to hit our stride now.
And why'd you get into sales?
Honestly, I kind of fell into this position.
Really?
I've kind of been a salesperson my whole life, throughout college and high school, working retail jobs and things like that. I grew up in Vermont, so I worked on a ski mountain most of my winters, selling, equipment, things like that. And I never really had a desire to go directly into sales, but I actually had an internship not too long ago. And the gentleman that ran that company urged me over and over again to get into sales. And you know what? I was searching for jobs online one day, came across this job, interviewed with the folks, had a really good relationship off the bat. And I always had that voice in the back of my mind from that boss from that internship saying, you've got this personality for sales. You need to just go execute it.
Yeah.
So I joined on with the team and I jumped in with both feet. And ever since then, I haven't looked back.
Yeah. And how was the first year? Was it hard?
It was hard at the beginning. There was a lot of losses, a lot of fails. But again, I always try to take something away from those. And again, you just got to work through those and find out what works for you, find out where your process And the biggest thing that I struggled with was coming into a new industry that I didn't have a background about. So it was a lot of doing research on our competitors, on our customers, what they're looking for. And once I kind of realized what our competitors did and what our customers were really looking for, that's where I really understood how to start selling our product, because it really comes back to helping them solve their problem. They're calling you because they have a problem that your company can help them lesser that problem or be a complete fix for that problem.
Yeah. And what is your sale like? Do you get a lot of inbound?
A lot of inbound. So most of the people that call us already know about us. They know what we do. They have an understanding of where we position ourselves in the market. So we're kind of, we have three main competitors in our industry. They're identified very well, and each one of them kind of serve a different purpose to the marketplace. So understanding where we position ourselves in that marketplace, our customers come to us with an understanding of we are the user-friendly aspect of our industry, whereas some of our competitors are a little bit more cumbersome and things like that.
And so how do you get to qualify them? So you're probably asking questions to determine, are they a good match for you or a great match for you?
Right, absolutely. So again, it goes back to understanding what their core problems are. Yeah. So once I understand, we have a solid process in place, but we might not have the technology to implement that process. Yeah. And the biggest thing in my industry specifically, as a software salesman, is that training is an aspect to the sales. You have to understand that you're selling the training and how long it's going to take, how cumbersome it's going to be, if it's going to interrupt their daily processes. So as soon as you understand their needs, you can start to create your sales pitch tailored to that client.
And they're calling you because they didn't see enough on the website, or they want to get a demo, or they...
So mostly demos. Mostly folks want to see a demo, see if it's going to be something that's easy to implement, that their team's going to be able to understand. Because again, if you're training somebody on a software for 2 or 3 weeks, that's time lost doing your daily processes, closing, whatever it may be that company does.
And so do you just dive into the demo? Is it pre-scheduled? Is it?
So we usually pre-schedule the demo. We'll ask a lot of background questions at first to get an understanding of the company, how large they are, if they have a franchise set up where they have multiple branches or anything like that. You really understand who their clients are as well, because in software sales specifically, I think it's important to understand, is your software going to solve the solution for that client? And is it also going to help their client?
Yeah.
So a lot of times nowadays, no matter what industry you're in, there's some type of a client-facing aspect to that business. So for us personally, we have a client-facing aspect that's going to make things easier for our clients' clients. So it's kind of like a ladder in that sense.
Yeah. And are you capable of giving the demo, or does somebody else do it? Or
no, absolutely. So again, we're still in that startup stage, I would say, even though the company's been around for a while. So I wear many different hats. I'm the hunter, the gatherer. I do all of the demos, the ongoing training for when that company has new employees that come on, all that type of stuff. So I usually take the client all the way from the lead stage all the way until they're a client for 2 or 3 years.
And what have you learned about giving a demo that you wish you knew when you started? Because
and it's one of the things that I've heard on your show many times, which is you have to listen to them and hear their side of the story. They don't care about your pitch. You can throw your pitch out there all you want, but until you understand what they're actually looking for, it's not going to be effective. You're just talking and it's going in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that early on, because there were many of demos where I would just spit out what I thought the best features were, where really they were looking for something completely different. And in that same vein, we might have had that same solution, but because I didn't understand what they were looking for, I might not have pitched that as much as I should have.
Yeah, because giving a demo kind of is an art, and too many people turn it into a training course, and it's not a training course.
Right. Training is totally something separate. We do that at another time. The demo is initially finding out what they're looking for and showing how our software can be a solution for those issues.
Yeah, and if you can get them engaged in it, and the showing the product just happens to be what I call like the meal.
Right, absolutely.
You go out to a meal with the client, not for the food.
Right.
That's the excuse. You go out there to bond, to understand, to listen, to communicate with them.
Absolutely. And one of the other things I've learned about the demos is that basically there's different aspects to the demo. So there's the beginning aspect where you're learning about the company, you're learning about what they do. Are they looking for something user-friendly? Are they looking for something that has all the bells and whistles? And then once you identify those key factors, you improv a little bit. So, you have the normal demo where it goes A, B, C.
Yeah.
Then you have the other ones where it's like, oh, you're interested in this? Let me go ahead and jump to this part and show you what that's going to look like.
Yeah. And that's when you know you got them.
Absolutely, right.
Yeah, they're
and
asking questions.
There's always the part about when you go into your CRM afterwards, after the demo, and okay, synopsis, what happened on that demo. A number of times, if somebody doesn't ask me any questions on that demo, that's going in the cold lead section. That person wasn't interested. They weren't hearing what we had to say. It might not be a dire need for them at that time.
Right. Yeah. It either might be, a better match for somebody else or too early, or, they're just checking a box instead of engaging.
And I'm a firm believer that, B2B sales is very competitive, but I'm also the believer that relationships are very important as well. So if a client comes to me and we're not the best fit for them, I'm going to help them understand what the best fit is. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to spend my whole day doing it, but if I can kind of give them an idea of where to look for, I'll absolutely do that. I'm not in the nature of selling somebody that doesn't need what we have, because then you just have an unhappy customer.
Right. And they don't go away.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You'll see them online the next day.
Yeah. Or they'll be bugging you about, hey, you said it would do this, or next release, when's that coming? You misled me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, what happens after the demo?
So after the demo, it's basically just hitting those little touch points. Okay, we've done the initial demo. You told me you were going to discuss it internally. You had to bring it to the higher ups, whatever the case may be. So I usually like to give a little gap, 1 to 2 days, let them mull it over, talk to whoever they have to talk to. And then it's just hitting those little touch points after that. I'll send an initial email, hey, Brian, it was great to talk to you the other day. I hope you found the demo beneficial. Here's a little flyer about some of the other things that we offer that I might not have talked to you about on the demo. Or if you have any other questions, give me a call. If we need to see a demo for somebody else, let me know. And just comes all day long. Yeah. So you have to get in there any way you can. And sometimes the phone isn't the best way to do that. I have a lot of clients that I'll call multiple times and never hear back. So you got to be able to hit them in multiple ways and just keep on those touch points and making sure that you stay relevant.
And how do you stay away from just giving them a proposal?
So basically, again, it all goes back to these were your needs initially. This is how we're going to fill those needs. If you need anything else, we can talk about that. If there was something you didn't see on the demo that you need, please let me know. But again, it's not just, okay, here's our rates. Are you going to sign up or not?
Yeah.
Because it is a process. There's different stages to the decision-making process and the buying process. So you kind of have to walk them through that, make sure they completely understand, make sure all the decision makers completely understand.
Yeah. And where does it typically get stuck on their side? The demo goes great.
Yeah, if they have to bring it to a higher up. Yeah. Because at that point, let's say they go to the operations manager. Okay, well, a lot of the things I talked about earlier, is this going to mess up our day-to-day process? How easy is this going to be to implement? And then they'll go, okay, now my COO needs to see a demo too. Can we schedule that for a week out? Yeah. So you schedule the follow-up demo, something goes wrong, they have to cancel. And it's things like that get it pushed out too far. And then there's a certain, I believe that there's a certain threshold where if you haven't made contact with somebody in a while, or they haven't made that decision yet, there's a time where you're going to have to put that on the back burner and focus on the warmer leads.
Yeah. And in that, how do you control that? Have you found a particular technique, either timing based or quid pro quo?
I think it all comes back to having a good CRM, things that can give you alerts and let you know when the last time you talked to this person was, things of that nature, because that'll help you schedule out your future reach out and email blasts or whatever the case may be, whatever you're doing. So we kind of try to schedule those things out where, okay, this person said they needed 2 weeks to review with their team internally. Make sure you reach out on that 2-week mark, because if you don't, they're going to forget about it. So it's all about having those systems in place internally to have the correct follow-up. And there is a learning curve to that too, where some clients, they need to have you call them every day and say, okay, so I talked to this person today and this was their question. And then there's those other people that say, okay, I really need 2 weeks to go over this with the team internally. Don't talk to me again until that 2 weeks is up.
Yeah. And who typically makes the decision on the product, not the price?
So the product itself would be the client. The client really determines. So we have a few different products that we offer as a software solution. And there's, light versions. There's for different users, there are different versions. So the client determines what they need for the product. And again, it all comes back to their core needs. Do they need something that's easy to implement, user-friendly, or do they need something that's going to be all comprehensive and kind of more of the corporate standard?
And is it monthly or is it?
So we have a monthly subscription base. And again, it's month to month. So the customer can cancel at any time, which obviously we don't see a lot of that. Our customers love the month to month prices because you're not locked into anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of our competitors do the long-term contracts and things of that nature. And that's where we see we have an edge right now, is with our pricing and our pricing structure.
And can they put it on a credit card or do they?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we can do ACH, credit card. You can pay however you wish.
Yeah, so that speeds up the sales process.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no 2 week waiting time or anything.
Yeah,
like
there's no procurement.
No.
Yeah.
The person can make a decision on that first day of the demo if they so wish. And we've had that happen in the past.
Yeah.
But I always like to urge the people to talk to it with their higher ups and their sales team, because those are the people that are actually going to be using the software. You want to make sure that it's not too much of a hassle for those individuals.
And how do you, without getting personal, how do you get comped? Is it on the first month, the first year, as long as they're a customer?
So it's per account, and then there's longevity commission after that.
Yeah.
So we're kind of urged to keep those long-lasting relationships so it's not so front-ended, because there's many people that can go out there and make 55 to 100 calls a day and rack up some good business. But can you maintain those relationships and keep that revenue coming in?
Yeah. And do you get enough inbound to make your number? Or
absolutely.
You
absolutely,
do?
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's our industry is, again, commercial real estate. There's thousands and thousands of brokers across the country that use our software. And then there's new lenders, private money lenders that lend to these real estate investors, whether they're doing fix and flip or long-term rental investments. And so there's a number of those lenders popping up, every month. So those are our customers, and there's more and more of them just keep coming up.
Yeah. So have you become comfortable in sales now, or is it now?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I think I really started to hit my stride when I adapted some of those key values. And again, a lot of that stuff was just stuff that I had learned from you and your guests. So the simple stuff that I probably should have learned in school, but you don't get that experience, It's different reading out of a book than actually being on the phone,
doing it,
meeting those face-to-face conversations and things like that.
So do you do any cold outbound?
Yeah, there are some. We have a large database of brokers that have, called us in the past. Same thing with lenders. We have a large lead list that I can pick from whenever I need to. But to be honest, right now we've done such a good job marketing that there isn't much need to hit that call list very often.
It's just a lower priority.
Absolutely. There's new leads coming in every day. Now, again, I mentioned we're at that kind of growth stage where we are starting to build out our team. So hopefully some of those folks that we bring on will be able to reach out to some of those old leads.
And how has your day progressed from like the first month to what you do now?
So the first month it was working off of that list quite a bit, making a lot of those cold calls. And there was, some demos sprinkled in there so I could get some experience, but a lot of it was getting those people wanting a demo. And then I would pass it off to the executive account manager, and then he would take it from there. So that was probably like my first 3 months. And then I started doing a majority share of those demos. Those accounts became mine. And then after that, it was just maintaining those new relationships and finding out how to do that. There's a personal aspect to these relationships where you have to know a little bit of background about the person. You don't want to just know about their company, but you want to be able to have that personal connection as well. And I think that's what drives those long-standing relationships.
And how about as far as learning about the industry and gaining that business acumen? How have you done that?
So that was actually the easier part for me. I've always been kind of interested in real estate, never worked in it before, but I came in and it was very easy to understand that your clients are almost banks. You're dealing directly with lenders who are giving money to people to do real estate investment.
Yeah.
Very simple to understand. The investors want to buy a house, fix it up, and sell it for profit. And it was just like, it was kind of cut and dry to me. And you start to understand, the acronyms and things that are in the industry over time. But up front, it was really easy for me to grasp, who my clients are, who their clients are. And the other part of that is who our competitors are.
But where did you find that info? Was it just online? Was it?
A lot of it was online. We had a really good training program when I first came in where we spent an extensive amount of time on the industry and who our clients were and how they operate and things of that nature. But I'm a go-getter in the sense where before I even had the job, I had done a lot of research on the company itself, all of the competitors and the industry. And that was mostly done online.
Yeah. And as far as sales skills, how did you develop them?
Just doing it, honestly.
Yeah.
It's all about the practice. Like I said, you can't get that same experience that you get from hands-on from doing it on, reading a book, or even if you do a case study in class. Nothing ever relates to getting on the phone or meeting face-to-face and actually selling that product.
But was there, like a daily practice? Did you prepare for a call? Did you review a call? Did you keep track of your mistakes? Did you?
Absolutely. So a lot of that comes back to the CRM aspect, where if you have a good way to track all those types of things, you can always see what you did wrong. And that's the best thing, is when you go back and look at a client you've talked to in the past. Okay, I remember on this call, I talked about this, but he really wanted to hear about this. Yeah. So moving forward, can you work off of those mistakes that you've made in the past and make them work for you in the future? But the other thing about that too is just understanding where I came from and how I started out as just somebody who would just call and pitch my pitch. And whereas now there's that back and forth, you have a good understanding of the client and what they're looking for. And now you really know how to hit the needs of the client themselves.
And are there red flags when you're talking with somebody where you're like, that this is not a match?
Right, absolutely. So typically, if, like I said before, if somebody's not asking a lot of questions about the software, I tend to believe that they're not serious in this industry, because anybody that is realizes that this is a solution that company needs. Any lender that's in our space, they need a solution like this. And if it's somebody who's not interested or not asking the right types of questions, fairly quickly I can realize that person's either not interested in my product, or they're not interested in this solution at all. They don't have a need for it, or their need might be already filled and they might just be shopping.
Yeah. And where do you see you taking your career?
Honestly, I'd like to stay here for a little while longer. We've taken this company so far in the last year to where we're a known commodity in the industry. We've been recognized for some awards here lately. So we're still in those growing stages, and as a young person, I'd like to, follow that through and see how far we can actually take this thing. And then from there, I see myself being in B2B sales for a long time. Yeah. I like I said, I dove in with both feet, and I don't look back. I don't plan on looking back either.
And what do you like about it?
I just like the grit that it takes to go out there and hunt. Now, like I said, we have a lot of inbound calling, but still, those take a lot of work. Because the client knows about you doesn't mean that they're going to sign the PO that day. Yeah. So it's the grit about it. It's the learning about the customer. And my industry is always changing. So there's an adaptation that we have to do, where our software needs to be able to change into what the future is looking at. There's always talks in our industry about another housing crash, all this chatter all the time. You have to be aware of those things. And that's where I like to, know what's going on, where I'm talking to a lender, I can talk about, hey, did you hear about that New York law that's about to get passed? What are your thoughts on that? So we're not just talking shop about my product. We're talking about the industry. And there's always that ever-changing aspect of it, where you as a person have to be adaptable, and so does your product.
And I would think that they would be passionate about those topics.
Absolutely.
Regulation.
And that just drives great conversation as well. And then you get another perspective on those issues.
Yeah, because that's their life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, that's their livelihood too.
Yeah.
If New York state passes a law that restricts ROI on real estate investor, that hurts everybody in the industry, not just the investor themselves.
Yeah. And it is a very cyclical business.
Absolutely.
High peaks and valleys, and very competitive.
Absolutely. And like I said, there's more lenders popping into our space every day. There's more investors now than there ever have been. So it's always changing, always growing competitively as well.
And within your company, when do you see somebody that you know is going to be successful, and when do you see a red flag that you go, that girl's not going to work out?
It all comes back to that hunter mentality.
Yeah.
If they don't have the will to go out and that's why we start folks off with cold calls to see if you have what it takes.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the willingness to pick up the phone and call 50 people a day, you're probably not going to make it. Even at a company that has a lot of inbound calls, warm leads, you still have to have that grit and that desire to go out and hunt for new business.
Yeah. And you're finding those people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we find that it's a lot that younger people aren't as shy as the phones as some people like to make it out to be. Yeah. A lot of people say, they're all online all the time. Nobody talks on the phone anymore. But we found that a lot of people coming straight out of college, you can kind of train them to be a phone person. It's not as scary as a lot of people make it out to be.
Yeah. And that's it, because there's a lot of talk about, not enough great jobs, but sales is like, certainly from an income standpoint.
Absolutely, right.
Coming either right out of school, high school, even as college.
Right.
But that's it. You come out of college and you're like, you want to make six figures. It's like, unless you're an engineer or something,
right?
What else can you do?
And you got to work your way up always.
Yeah.
No matter where you go to school, no matter how high of education you get, there's always going to be some aspect of climbing that ladder.
And where did you get that grit, that disconnect from the rejection and the hassle and the hang-ups? And
I think for me personally, it really started all the way back when I was a child, just watching my parents. My parents were both working class people who grinded all the time, and they always had that go-go mentality, and that's what I've always carried with me. Even from school, it was always, you got to have that mentality to work and grind and better yourself, and then you just keep learning new things from that and just continue to evolve and grow.
All those balmy Vermont winters, right?
Absolutely. And you have to wake up and go brush off your car just to get to work. And, it's all about working through any challenge that you get put in front of you.
Yeah.
And in B2B sales, there's a lot of those challenges that get put in front of you.
Well, that's what it is. That's the main obstacle. If you can just not take it personally and just make the next call.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the thing is, they talk about it in football a lot. Quarterbacks have to have short memories. I think that's the case for us too, where if one call doesn't go well, you've got a list of however many other people, just call the next one.
Yeah. And what do you look for? What signals do you see in people? Are you involved in the hiring process at all?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. So again, you don't have to have industry background for us to hire you. We want those core values about being able to go out and hunt, being comfortable on the phone, having those certain sales qualities. Somebody that's worked in customer service usually works out a lot of the time for us because they have that ability to
communication skills.
And then again, I ask a lot of questions identifying, problems. Can you identify what the problem is? Can you identify what the client's looking for? And how can you pitch off of that? How can you identify those problems and make your pitch tailored to that client?
Cool. Hey, this has been a great conversation. Where can people go to connect with you?
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. You can find me there, Jacob Tarian. We are on LinkedIn, company Bridge Loan Network, and you can find me on our YouTube channel as well. We do a lot of educational videos on there.
Hey, Jacob's a great guy. Hope you connect with him on LinkedIn so you can kind of follow his career. If you're in that territory, you might want to get a job there. Sounds like a great place. But what I heard was that determination, the ability to have that resilience and grit is surfacing is one of the top things because it's counterintuitive. Our natural reaction to rejection, our mammal reaction to rejection is quite scary. We naturally want to flight. We want to get away from it. We want to avoid it at all costs. But in sales, it's just part of the process. Nobody likes the ability to be popular and have everyone like you is just a false flag. You can't get there. So we should stop trying and understand that we're not going to sell everybody. Not everyone is going to like us. We got to focus on the people who are most likely to like us and what we do so that they will engage with us. And I know a lot of people's managers are pushing them in the other direction to just hit everybody as equals. Well, they're not equals. our judgment, our ability to focus on the people that are most likely to like us is our superpower. I hope you enjoyed that interview. I'm putting them up on YouTube as well, Maverick Method on YouTube. Make sure you're following the page on LinkedIn, the Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling page. The 2 other podcasts, Sales Questions and B2B Revenue. Check them out. If you're interested in the courses, the price is going up January 1st, so now's the time to sign up. You can schedule a time to talk with me. They're perfect for people in the B2B sale. Where you're having a hard time getting into new accounts, or you're getting in, but the deals are just dragging out, or no decision. I show you how to prevent that, how to keep the deal moving, how companies buy. And this is not just knowledge. This is a performance profession. So knowing it is only part of it. It's knowing it at the right time, and it's performing it the right way, the best way you can. And that takes practice, reflection, strategy, seeing how other people do it, anticipation, all of these things that are counterintuitive, things that we do not naturally think of. We think of them after they happen. After we land and find out we didn't pack our phone charger and the battery's down to 1 bar. That's when we know it's obvious. Yeah, it's obvious, but we didn't do it. I show you how to come up with your system, your formula, your magic recipe that will then be able to be executed by you. It is not how to sell like me. It's how to sell the way people want to buy and the way things work. And then to model it towards your product and how you like to sell. So it's not scripts. I show you how you can build your script about what you want to say and what they want to hear, not what I want to say. So it's really like a meta program. And the idea is a year-long commitment to, I'd say, a minimum hour a week, but you can do as much as you want. And you get not only the content, which is 100% accessible day one, with either a monthly, a 12-month payment plan or all at once, but it is a payment plan, not a membership. So you get 100% access day one, but you also get office hours, an hour-long meetup every other Friday on Zoom at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And people will say, well, how about if that time doesn't work for me? I record them all and put them into the course so you never miss anything. If you have questions you want covered, email them to me. Make a video, send it to me. I'll answer it there. And if that's not enough, you get one-on-ones. You want to sit down for 30 minutes and chat up about your account and apply the course to your situation and get some feedback, some help, some strategizations? You get a one-on-one, unlimited. And they're available, and there's never more than a week wait for them. People go, well, how can you do all that? Because most reps only think a week ahead. I make them available 4 weeks in advance. So if you want one, you just reserve it. And you have a particular topic, a particular sticking point in your process, where your deals stall, or an account you're trying to get into and you need some feedback and some process and some help. That's what it's for. And it's interactive. And we do it on Zoom. How about that? Hey, I appreciate everybody listening. Tell somebody about the podcast this week, and we'll see you next time.